Hello International Finance students. We're now in our last week, week 7, and first I want to say I've enjoyed working with all of you this past 7 weeks. Our final week here, we just have chapters 15 and chapters 16 to read. You're going to have a brief forum discussion that is actually going to wrap up on Saturday this week, so make sure to jump in early, get that done. It's going to be based on something you found interesting in your paper that you wrote for week 6. And then finally, the exam is going to be available. It's going to be as before, multiple choice, so just make sure to submit your answers in a one-page Word document, whether 1C, 2C, and so forth. So this week, first we look at Chapter 15. It kind of addresses the question of where do we invest, or why do we invest? So the multinational enterprise try to make decisions about what competitive advantages it might have and why it might want to enter a particular host country. So chapter 15 kind of looks at an overview of all these decisions that it has to make, and then also to think about some of the risks. You know, just over the weekend I was listening to the news, and I guess we've taken out some Al-Qaeda sales in some of the riskier countries, and maybe this will help reduce risk, but it may actually increase risk. So today in our global economy, there are a lot of political risk out there, and as our population continues to grow and there's more and more people, you know, M&Es have to make decisions about whether they think this is a good calculated risk to take something on in a project. Well, chapter 16 then looks at kind of a lot of what you're familiar with, and that's the financial side, maybe from a corporate finance course. But it takes it just a step further in the sense that it says, okay, not only do we have to do an analysis for this project, but we also have to do an analysis for the parent company. And a lot of those factors that you've looked at before, such as net present value, you know, the decision rule that as long as the project was a positive net present value, we'll take on the project, or if there's a particular hurdle rate, what we call like a internal rate of return, you know, internal rate of return by definition again just sets a net present value equal to 0, so it's another benchmark if we clear that hurdle. But there can be a lot more complications because now we're dealing with foreign exchange risk, and when we bring those cash flows back to, say, the United States, how does that impact us in our cash flows, and how does it impact the valuation of the project? So a lot of this chapter looks at those decisions. And in fact, in the example that they gave in the textbook, the decision would have probably been to not accept this project. And then, you know, they also go into such ideas about sensitivity analysis and looking at different scenarios and how could these cash flows change. Other risks mentioned too in these chapters, the risk of funds being blocked, that I'm not able to take my host country currency, convert it back. Maybe the government steps in, there's an issue, so some different strategies is fronting loans or investing in tangible assets that I could sell somewhere else or increase exporting. So different tools that a manager of an M&E can use to try to reduce some of that risk. And then, you know, finally, the last part of this chapter looks at mergers and acquisitions. It might be a way for a multinational enterprise to get into a particular country, and there can be various reasons why they want to do this. It could be from synergies, it could be diversification, and an easier way to enter a country. So all these things take into consideration. And in the last part, they kind of walk through a 3-step process in the textbook to help you think about these mergers and acquisitions. Well, again, I want to say I've enjoyed working with you all the past 7 weeks. Do send me an email if you do have any questions, but it's been great working with you online, and I hope you have a better appreciation of some of the complexities, if you will, about international finance and the decisions that a multinational enterprise has to make these days. And I think any organization that you're involved with in some way has to deal with an aspect of the global economy now, and it's good to have a better understanding of those things such as foreign exchange risk and the risk associated with entering different countries and the opportunities of entering those countries too. So wanted to say take care. It's been great working with you all, and enjoy the fall.